Today is one of those days that just brings tears to your eyes. My stomach was rumbling a little while ago, so I walked into the kitchen. I strolled right up to the freezer and opened it up and looked down inside. And to my great sadness, I saw only one package of whitetail. The last of the whitetail from last hunting season. And I thought to myself, what can I do to honor this whitetail's memory? What better way can I enjoy my lunch than to do a video and show you guys how to make the ideal whitetail steak? So sit back, relax, I'm going to cook something amazing, take some notes. The absolute very first thing you want to do is make sure your whitetail steaks are completely defrosted, and mine are. The next step we need to do is we need to go over to our pan and we need to get some olive oil. You got to be very liberal with this, excuse the bad language. And you got to pour this into the pan as much as you could possibly put to cover the bottom. Make sure that oil is getting nice and hot. And the next step we have to do is actually take some more olive oil and put a little bit on top of the steaks. Just enough to cover the tops again. You can't be afraid to get a little dirty here because you're going to anyway. Take your fingers, you need to rub the top of the steak and rub that in. What that's going to do is when we get our spices, that's going to make them stick and we're going to get a full taste out of them. And it's also going to help the meat cook on the outside, so we can leave the inside a little medium rare because that's the way I like it. But you guys can cook a little further if you want to. Alright, it's spice time. The very first spice you want to put on is a tiny bit of pepper. I'm just using some McCormick black pepper. Just a little bit, enough to graze the top. Set that aside. The next thing we want, believe it or not, is some cilantro leaves. That really brings out the flavor. So put enough to cover the top again. Just like that. The next one we need, some onion powder. That oil just popped right next to me and scared me. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. That wasn't planned. Anyway, onion powder. Cover the top again. We need some garlic powder. And you're going to do half as much as you did of the onion powder. It's not quite as much. And then we need a little bit of salt. Not too much, unless you like it salty. And the very last spice, some chopped chives. Just a few. Okay, I know you're thinking it. Yes, it's very true, I only put it on one side of the steak. And I'll show you why here in a second. So get your tongs or whatever you're going to use to take the whitetail to put in your pan. Grab a piece and you're going to put it spice side down. Alright? So I'm going to do that with every piece here real quick. Remember, spice side down. Very important. There we go again. Alright. Now we're going to take our pan of hot oil. We're going to kind of move it around in circles to kind of get a little oil on the top. There we go. There's just enough to get over there. Now we're going to take our spices and do the same thing again. So like I said, we're going to take some pepper first. Let me go grab it. Just a little bit on the top. There you go. Then we're going to take our cilantro. A little bit more on the top. Set that aside. Get some onion powder. You can be pretty liberal with the onion powder too. Some garlic powder. Remember, half as much as the onion powder. I'm going to take a little bit of salt. You already got some on there, so be careful. And then we need some chopped chives. And there we go. We're going to let that cook. Monitor your steak at all times. Look at it, make sure the oil is boiling, because that's what we want. We want a nice and hot, even cook. Right now this has been sitting on here for about 4 minutes. So I'm getting ready to flip them. So I'm going to take my tongs, and whatever you do, don't push down on the steaks. That gets rid of all the juices and they don't taste as good, then they dry out. So I'm going to take this steak here, grab it by the end, I'm going to flip it over gently. I'm going to grab this steak, flip it over, do the same thing, and try not to squeeze them too hard, because then you'll lose the juice. There we go. So now we've got a little bit of a pan sear going on the outside. The inside, I can tell you, is going to be nice and red, and that's what I like to eat. Here is one of the telltale signs you want to look for when the food is almost done. See all that juice coming to the top? It's exactly what you want. So what I'm going to do is, let me zoom out for you real quick. I'm going to check underneath. If it looks a little dark brown, it should be done. That's excellent. So I'm going to take it off here, set it on the plate, then I'll cut them open to show you how they look. And don't throw out your oil, because we're going to save that for something else in our meal. Just turn it down to low. Here is our beautifully done whitetail. Let me cut it open. What I'm going to use for a knife is a Benchmade Design Snody. It has D2 steel and it's my EDC. And also I'm using a fork. So let me turn it around here. I'm going to cut right at this tender area. I'm just going to dig in here. See how it looks. Oh, just perfect on the inside. Just a little bit of red. And it feels nice and tender. Gotta love it. Taste test time. It's nice and warm. It's tender. It's delicious. Alright, our meal is almost done. The steak is done and it's cooked to perfection. But I've cooked some baked potatoes. And there's a garnish I want to make for them. So I'm taking some sweet cream butter. Yes, it does have to be sweet cream. And I'm going to put it in that pan full of our oil. I know a lot of you are looking at this like, that's gross, or it's fatty. But trust me, it's delicious, and it's not that bad for you. So I'm going to let that warm up here and melt into our oil. Just going to move it around the pan. It should get a little bit bubbly. And that oil will start to get a little bit thicker. So let me show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Alright, this is what we were looking for. It kind of stops boiling when it gets to the right texture. So let's get our potato ready. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my knife and cut out like a V at the top. And I'm going to remove that. Okay. And where there's that little opening, that's where I'm going to put the oil. So I'm going to take it, it's still very hot, so be careful, it will splatter. And pour it in there. See that? It's like a buttercream sauce. There's enough for one more person here. But I'm going to put a little on my steaks because it still has a lot of flavor. Delicious. There you go, guys. That's how you cook the most magnificent whitetail steak dinner. If you guys have any recipes to share that you think are good also, leave them down below in the comments section. If you guys think you can one-up me and do one better, I'd love to see it. Do a video response. I'll approve it for this video, and then we all can watch it. So rate, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm so excited.